to actually signing up another few, which we think will make a difference.
Question number 8, Catherine Delahunty.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Tēnā koutou te whare. To the Minister of Labour, does she agree that women workers are entitled to equal pay?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr Speaker, yes, the law is clear. People cannot be discriminated against because of their gender, as it would be a breach of the Equal Pay Act and the Human Rights Act.
Catherine Delahunty.
Supplementary. What is her response to Employers and Manufacturers Association head Alistair Thompson's comments this morning that women don't have equal pay because they take more sick leave because of their quote, unquote, monthly problems?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr Speaker, I'm not responsible for Mr Thompson's suggestions, but I don't agree with it.
Catherine Delahunty.
Will the government continue to take advice from a business leader who has just attacked the productivity of 50% of the workforce on the basis of their gender?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr Speaker, I listen to the views of a number of people who say things I disagree with or find offensive. It's simply part of being in government.
Catherine Delahunty.
Does she agree that the sexist and ridiculous views espoused by business leader Alistair Thompson this morning are proof that the Equal Pay Act needs to be modernised and strengthened?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
I'm not responsible for his comments. I don't agree with his comments.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, Catherine Delahunty.
I didn't ask whether she agreed. I asked whether she agreed that the Equal Pay Act needed to be modernised and strengthened.
I'll invite the member to repeat a question.
Does she agree that the sexist and ridiculous views espoused by business leader Alistair Thompson this morning are proof that the Equal Pay Act needs to be modernised and strengthened?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr Speaker, the mere opinion of one person on one occasion is not necessarily justification to have a review of legislation.
Catherine Delahunty.
Supplementary. How can women concerned that they might not be getting equal pay for equal work find out if this is the case in their workplace?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
There are remedies and recourses under both the Human Rights legislation and the Equal Pay Act.
Supplementary.
Catherine Delahunty.
Given the difficulties of taking a case under the Equal Pay Act and the extremely small number of cases taken in the last 40 years, how can she ensure that women receive equal pay for equal work?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr Speaker, the legislation is there to protect women who feel that they've been discriminated against. The procedures are there and there's nothing to stop them taking those courses.
Supplementary.
Carol Beaumont.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker. Can the Minister reassure New Zealand women that despite comments by close National Party ally Alistair Thompson, they won't have to wait until they hit menopause to close the gender pay gap?
The point of order, the Honourable Simon Powell. Order.
Using those
the
type
Honourable
of descriptors in the initial question as a national party, as far as I'm concerned, Mr Thompson's first association was with the Social Credit Party.
Order.
True, he was a candidate.
Is this speaking to the point of order, the Honourable
Yes, Mr Speaker. We've observed Mr Thompson over a long time.
Order.
Order between the National Party policy and his.
Labor just lost their extra supplementary question. I was on my feet. That was not a point of order. And what's fair for the goose has got to be fair for the gander. Now, I say in relation to the question asked, OK, it was unusual. It was not unparliamentary, although it shouldn't, questions shouldn't make that kind of assertion. But would ministers prefer I deprived their colleagues of the opportunity to have a bit of licence to give as much back as they receive? So that's why I don't rule those sort of questions out, because ministers hearing a question like that have pretty free licence. The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
I've forgotten what the question was.
I'll invite the member to repeat her question. Carol Beaumont.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can the Minister, reassure New Zealand women that despite comments by close National Party ally Alistair Thompson, women won't have to wait until they hit menopause to close the gender pay gap?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Mr Speaker, I've said before, I certainly do not agree with the ridiculous comments of Mr Thompson, and I do believe in good, fair treatment for women, and I think there are protections under both pieces of legislation which I've already quoted from.
Catherine Delahunty.
Will she consider adopting my amendment to the Equal Pay Act launched yesterday that requires employers to report on gendered pay rates in their workplace and release aggregated information on gender pay to employees on request?
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Speaker, I've not read the member's bill, so I've yet to form an opinion on it.
Question number 9, Marion Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.